That's new.
Yeah, that was supposed to be like the worst starting thing.
I like that.
Yeah, and for some reason it is. Oh, right, because I changed the. Some of my backdrops might not work as well. All right, there we go. Cool. I'll mute us for a second. Okay, we are back. So, this is Castle Amber, episode 40. That's a 4. That's a 0. That's an Amber. And what happened last time?
So previously on, as the amber turned, we all got in a carriage. We rode away. We went south on the All Saints Road. Yeah, we're there. Anatoly was driving. Mio healed the group as best as possible because some of the people were pretty beat up. We head south for a ways, and then we are finally able to find what we believe to be a safe-ish space and pull off to the side of the road where we kind of get caught up on what the heck just happened, why. You were particularly hurt, so you just took a nap. And at that point, we just left you in the carriage to take a nap while we all had conversations about what happened. We learn about Zymes. We learn about Anatole. Tony, Anatoly or Anatole?
Go with either one.
Great. He was trapped in a wizard's tower in Zymes in the Arcane Conclave. And he does do some magic. He gave us some here and there about that, which I believe you were going to give the rules and laws. There's a book to Penny.
Oh, right, yeah.
Because she was specifically doing that. And then while driving, Mio was moved and sat up next to him and talked to him just about kind of everything else. And the more of the nature side of it and the divine and that.
Mm-hmm.
So he has copies. As we are proceeding, we do take time to kind of hunt and gather because we know that there is a town on the way to Zymes, which we learned could be where Richard's headed. So to make some money, because we don't have any of this world's money, or we have very little, Anatole has some that he has specifically been earning and saving. This is our carriage and his horses, 6-legged horses. So we learn more information about that. We got a lore dump about the living Messiah, Leonard the Divine Stormwalker, which is linked in the notes. I'm not going to read all of that right now.
A lot.
Yep, because that's what Anatole and Mio were talking about, the local flora and fauna, and then specifically on the divine side was that. At the campfire, he goes into more information about the church and the land. Penny is sus of Anatole. The title and the moniker that the knights have will provide you. Knights will provide you and what you should call them. There are variants on how they should be worshipped. Followers will fight amongst themselves. The saints do not care what their followers do as long as the church gets their money. So there are 12 saints. Mm-hmm. So as long as they get their money, they don't care what everybody else is doing. Mm-hmm. So that was a big conversation that was had last time while you were sleeping in the carriage. Mm-hmm. We learn about Goldfield, and we decide that we are going to make a stop. We end up passing a lot of corn fields. The town is very small. As we get through there and we get to the town, we notice there's a scarecrow that seems to be somewhat alert, kind of in the center of town. The town is boarded up, the chapel is sealed, and the homes are shuttered. Mio realizes that the corn should have been harvested about 4 months ago. And the party kind of divides, and some people go into what would be the general store to look about selling our goods. While Mio and Tamir go look at the scarecrow and basically look there. There's a doll that, of course, Mio picks up because that's what she do. Vetter and Penny go to the general store. It's fully stocked. There's a large man there wearing a big leather glove, only on one hand. They are able to get some coin from Samuel the Butcher, is his name. We get 40 pearls, 20 ducats, and 3 bars, which he kind of threw at Vetter and ushered them out of the store very quickly when Vetter started asking questions. And everybody's smiling. We're all very happy to be here. Anatole was sitting on the carriage while you were napping, so that's where that was. Vetter thinks that something Enochian is happening here. Vetter, Penny, and Sebastian go to the bar and meet a overly happy Gertrude who offers free drinks. Everybody is very, very happy, and those three individuals got little blurbs that weren't shared with the rest of us. Something Tony did a little different last time is if you, as your character, learned something specific, either whispered it in your ear or sent you a separate message to kind of go with mystery.
Be prepared for me to at you at Facebook.
Yeah. Right. Yep. So Mio happened to realize that something is happening here with the Fae Court. Everyone is too happy. Everyone is smiling. She waves over to Sebastian that it's time to go. So Penny is still in the bar talking. Gertrude, there's a birthday party happening tomorrow at Bell Farm. Gertrude starts to panic, makes kind of a weird reaction, and starts to leave the bar. They're able to kind of get her out of it, and she goes back in. There's another tavern in town that's more boarded up, and there is no one in there. So the group as a whole goes and explores that. Except for you were sleeping in the carriage. Again. Or so. While Penny, Sebastian, and Vetter go downstairs, Penny starts to blink in and out of existence after she casts the spell. And basically she sees some very creepy things that not all of us were privy to, which is why those was. Mio looked through some of the boarded up doors and sees a child playing, and it's the only child that we have seen so far. And all of a sudden Penny does something, and then there's a divot in the ground. Or Penny and Sebastian basically break a wall, and there's a divot in the ground. I don't remember if you helped. So we end up going down to the farmhouse on our way out of town. Penny, Vetter, and Sebastian walk directly up to the woman who happens to open the door. Mio happens to see the little boy that's playing on the ground, and because of who she is in her background, she kneels down in front of the child and engages. The child looked odd. Martha, the woman who opened the door, insists that everything is fine and we don't need to do anything. Sebastian sees some magic coming from behind the house, not to go around. She's very insistent that's not necessary. And she says, remember, only think happy thoughts. She slips him a piece of paper. It is an invitation to the birthday party tomorrow. So Mio and Tamir stop at the little boy. Mm-hmm. Tamir is kind of watching. She notices some things while Mio is talking to the boy, asks what game he's playing, and hands him the doll that she found in the center of town. And the boy explains it's, one of his other friends, and then they're no longer friends. And then he has to be Mio's friend forever.
Yeah.
Forever. So very creepy. Sebastian urges everybody to leave. We get back in the carriage. We see you sleeping and napping so peacefully. We draw on your face a little bit just because you're out so cold. So you probably have big clown lips. And
it's kind of ass.
Yeah, absolutely. That happened as we're leaving town. Vetter looks at the corn, and there's corn that was included in the bag of money. He realizes that it was a finger of the butcher that had been turned to corn. And he flicks it out the window. As we leave the town, sound comes back. Like while we were in town, there was no nature, no bugs, no birds, nothing. Couldn't even hear the corn. The weather gets warmer as we leave. Vitter is aware that there is a break time that is causing, or a break in space-time causing some sort of Enochian curse, a break in reality. We do learn that the child, we believe, was born. Oh my gosh, where is this? I think it was in the conversation with Tony, and I didn't put it in the notes because it was part of the conversation with Tony. As we set up camp outside of town, Mio shares that she thinks the child is a Riftshire. And it's essentially when a child is born near a Vale's Rift, and she shares this with the party, that essentially something comes over and possesses the child. The only way to get it out is to bring it back closer to where it entered. And essentially the Riftshire will be ripped from the child and go back to the Fey realm. And correct me if I'm wrong on that last part.
No, you're correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
a child is either a possessed person or thing. Like an object could be possessed as well. It's something material from this world that has had a aspect of the Fey realm, like because the Fey realm has, it's more than just like things. It's thoughts, it's feelings, right? The idea of things is what makes the Fey realm, right? Like the Fall Court is fear and knowledge and the things decaying, right? Falling into the beginning of entropy, right? Uh, those things are ideas, and those ideas want to be in the world. And every once in a while, there's a break, and it starts pouring through like a hole at the bottom of a tank. It's going to push really hard, and all that water out into the world, right? So that's kind of like an idea of what it is. And sadly, it doesn't end well because, well, they're just different realms. It exists. It's natural in its own environment. Here, it's like introducing the bullfrog in Australia. It starts to become a problem because it has no natural predators.
We ended session with a long rest. Kind of after sharing that information, there was discussion on what we're going to do as far as how we're going to handle a Riftshire, because we're not willing to kill a child. Tomorrow is his birthday, and we have every intention at this point of going back to town to assist. And in-game time, I believe we said is, because we're waking up in the morning, it is 7 a.m. when we're all kind of up and gathered.
Okay.
After a long rest.
Well, the scene is still yours. It's whatever you guys wish to do. So the morning greets you. What characters are you guys playing today?
A-team.
You're playing your A-team characters? Okay.
Yep.
That's fine. There are other people who are nearby, kind of like Baldur's Gate. Your other characters are nearby in an encampment, and you guys are just here on your own thing as well. So you three characters are in the scene. I am prepared to play any NPC. Sadly, I think the only one I can play right now is Antoli.
Yes,
so,
Antoli is here.
Antoli is here. So I will be prepared to play him. If you got anything outside of that, we'll see.
Okay.
All right. And you are outside. You are well outside of the radius of the break in the Vale. So right now you are where that X is, where those swords are right there. That's where you are, and the town of Goldfield is that town that's right beside. And that's a map of.
And what's the red arrow?
The red, that's the gate.
That's the gate.
That's the gate. That's the gate. So right now you're there. Skylar, you are in full control of the map, so if people want to see more of it, you're going to have to probably grab that mouse.
Okay.
Do whatever you want to do. Or I'm going to step back. It's your scene.
Thank God you're awake. Seriously, you sleep like that again? More consequences.
Well, it should be good for a year.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's a hell of a nap.
It should be.
Wow. All right. Catches you up on what happened. Mio will express her theory about the child and describe how it looked. And just, yeah. So, we know something with Falcourt.
So there's some kind of rift in space-time between here and the Feywilds, I think. Somewhere in the Fey realm. I don't know where.
With what they describe, you do know that's very much Falcourt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyway, I'll step back out.
I'm guessing either the kid was born there, or he was out playing in the field and the
Well,
rift opened on top of him.
if he's a Riftshire, he was born there. And if what Sebastian felt, it was Sebastian or Penny, was able to track the source of the magic, and it's coming from behind the house. So if he was born in that house, that's close enough, based off what I know about Riftshires. Correct me if I'm wrong here. That something came through and possessed the child, and based on what the appeared ages of the child, this could have been going on for years. These people are tortured and smiling. I personally, I think something with Smiler the Defiler, because the shadow looks like him.
That's what I was thinking.
Is there anything else like Smiler out there, though? Is there another Fey Lord like him?
Do you have an apprentice?
Would I?
Because Smiler's been stuck in the mansion for.
The mansion's been in and out of time for whatever, and we don't know, the time here is different. We know that.
Means he exists in both places at once.
Mm. I don't know. Is that a Fey thing?
Would I know anything about what's going on?
Roll me a history check is fair for you, because it is definitely fall court related. Since it's within your jive, I'll give you advantage because it is your home turf, near home turf, right? It's fall court, but it's nearby. You have advantage, so best of two rolls.
Okay. A little bit. 12.
12. Okay. You know Smiler the Defiler is a knight of the Fall Court. Specifically, he is a knight of... give me a second. I want to make sure I call up the right one it is. I have to pull up my history document. Lucy Gods, and I'm surprised I didn't have this already pulled up. Getting close. Yes. He is a knight of the Lady of Mysteries. Princess Shome.
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 Shwama?
Shauma? Xiaomei? Xiaomei.
Xiaomei. Princess Xiaomei. She is the twin sister of the Lady of Answers, Thendela. So Xiaomei, he is the knight of. Every king and queen has knights. Some have one, some have two. The more knights you're able to create or maintain, pretty much more shows how stronger you are. Xiaomei and Thendela have one knight each. The queen has 3. The king has 7. You have actually ran into one of the knights of the Fall King recently. The king Nyla, Nyaeln. I gotta start making names I can pronounce.
Nyaeln.
Naylan.
Naylan?
Naylan, the Lord of Rot. You recently ran into one of his. I think I put in the notes which one it was.
Yes.
They're his 7 plagues. He has 7 fingers, 1 for each plague. So he has 7 knights. Which was odd you ran into one of them here. So another thing to note.
He's the one from the tavern.
Okay.
Yeah. The giant guy that had the gaseous plagues that he released. So anyway, outside of that, that's what you know, right?
Hey.
With a 12.
Hey. So something is possessing the child.
Mhm.
Yeah. Can I assume that or I'm thinking maybe that it's kind of a melding of the child and the Fae, and that's why everyone is smiling because they have to think happy thoughts to keep the child
I
from destroying.
Well, I think the child has the power to do so. When I had my conversation with him, uh, one of the other children displeased him,
Mm-hmm.
and I think Mio took the doll back, or she kept the doll because he said he didn't want it. She'll hold out just a little doll that just probably fits in the palm of her hand, and a child disappointed him. And I mean, the way that Penny and Sebastian explained, and Vetter explained how Gertrude left. What would you say? She was possessed, or she was compelled?
Compelled.
I think it's a child, but it has the powers of a fall knight.
But I guess what I'm wondering uh, is there anything left of the child, or is it completely?
That was part of our conversation from last night while you were sleeping. We're not sure, right?
Okay.
I think the entity that's inside the child is asleep. Well, is kind of either asleep or not in control.
Right.
And I think its personality has influenced the child.
Yes.
And what's happening is the rules the child thinks it needs to be under, as a kid,
Right.
those little rules that parents come up with are influencing its outlook on reality, and its outlook on reality is being enforced
And we know
because of the power of the Fey Lord or being that's
that.
shoved into the child's being.
Does it have, could a thought possess the child, or does it have to be like a being?
What you know of Riftshire is it is like a thought. It's something that is a part of well, in this case the fall court, right? Something that makes up what is fall, right? Which is always a mix of those things. It has a break, a tear, has caused things like radiation has leaked through, and what you're getting in here when you went through and all of a sudden it was like a bubble. It's like you're walking into the fall court realm outside of the fall court, and it's like water and oil. They are not mixing well together, and a lot like radiation, it starts to seep into these things. It's not good for this reality. And the thing that caused that breach, the thing that the needle that popped through, is commonly a thought given uh, being, right? And that's what broke through. And that can possess things. It could possess a child. It could possess a doll. It possesses something here, and that becomes kind of like the center anchor of this. And think of it like a piece of a tapestry that ripped away. To be able to replug that hole, you would have to take that piece and you'd have to put it back in the tapestry, right? You would have to plug it back in, if that makes sense.
So, question, because Mio had rolled a net 20
Mhm.
to know it was a Riftshire.
Right.
And she knows that by casting out the Riftshire back to the Fall Court would the possessed be restored, freeing them from the pull and returning them to a moral innocence.
Mhm.
Since she had a full night's rest,
Mhm.
spells that she would prepare would be to fix to repair the child. Is that a restoration, a lesser restoration, or what can she do to help
Dispel good and evil.
dispel?
Probably a something you're looking at.
Okay.
A harder one to do would probably be protection from good and evil. You can cast it on the thing to cast it out, right? But then you're
Right.
looking at other things like banishment. Banishment would also help.
Okay.
If you could try to separate it, because it's going to keep being anchored to its physical form here.
Right.
If you had a way to get it out, right? Dispel good and evil, probably a good one to be able to just get it in one hit.
Because I think I have protection from good and evil.
Yeah, protection from good and evil is one that would pop it out of that body potentially. It would have to fight that.
Okay.
A magic circle obviously would be very powerful as well. If you could entrap it in a magic circle, you could force it out. Banishment also good if you're able to separate it from its corporeal form. If not, you would just be You would just be popping it out with its corporeal form, and it would come back.
Well, and we know that if we get it close to the portal will essentially work like a suction.
Yes.
To pull it in.
It would have to start making checks to not get sucked in.
But it wants to go back in. Or at least according to what Mio saw from the shadow looked like it was trying to claw its way back.
Yes, the shadow looked like
the shadow. Okay, but in Mio's mind, it wants to go back.
It could be. I'm just saying the shadow. Yes.
Right.
It could also only be part of the being wants to go back.
Mm-hmm.
The consciousness of the being wants to go back, but the subconscious of that doesn't care.
Mm-hmm.
So we may need to figure out a way to separate them.
There are more that things that generally would ward against things and manipulate creatures like that would be spells that would help. Those are just some I've listed. There could be more. There probably are more that I'm not thinking of.
Right. Because Mio would have taken the time to make sure that she's prepared to help. Because the goal is to get this out of the kid.
Another one would be if you had cold iron, right? Cold iron is always a good old here we go. That'll work. Nothing wants to be in something when it's bound in cold iron, right?
The question is how would we get cold iron? Is there a way just to make it?
Make cold iron?
Yeah.
It's a hard substance.
I guess the question is, what is cold iron in its...
Cold iron? Cold iron is normally naturally occurring iron found mostly near peat bogs and other things like that. And it is always not forged, right? So it's literally iron that's been hammered into something. Because as soon as you forge something, it stops having the mystical properties of being cold iron. You know the reason is that the Fae, the true Fae, the most powerful of the Fae, have the power over names, right? And they were able to make deals with elements, with trees, with animals, other things by giving them names, right? Iron, they made a pact, a deal with iron. And iron said, I shall obey, I shall accept you and your terms as long as I am never forged, right? I want to remain in my rigid, my hard state. I don't like being moved around. They made the deal that they would protect iron and keep iron from being forged. But humans, well, maybe not human beings, but other creatures, did not respect this pact. And iron was taken out of Fey lands, and unbeknownst to the true Fey, was forged into a simple key. This broke the pact, and thus that is why Fey, especially true Fey or creatures of the Fey, are vulnerable to iron. Because they broke the pact, they suffer the Gias.
wood. And so I'm guessing none of the iron that I picked up would count.
No, specifically it has to be iron from a peat bog, which is and cold iron is black.
Yeah.
Right, you can tell like, oh, this is a piece of cold iron. This is a piece of cold iron because it's like a blackish tinted iron. It's
Okay.
not mountain iron. It's cold iron. It's from like soft earth and peat bogs and whatnot.
I mean, question to Tully. Don't suppose you have any cold iron?
I do not.
Yeah,
It does exist. You could find some enzymes. There is lots of peat bogs to the south. If you physically move the map down a little bit. Oop, that is the opposite direction. And that's still not down. All the way to the south. You zoom in Les Harbonnons. It is surrounded by swamp. And that is where all the cold iron comes from. The church normally buys it all up in there. It is the Fae hate it. And sometimes it is put around large cities to keep the Fae out.
out of curiosity, did we learn anything about the assassins at the tavern?
Not really, no.
I mean, we kind of assumed they were employed by the night.
Who was employed by Richard.
Yeah.
The Fae are at war. The Fae that live in this realm are at war with the church. Pretty much anywhere where there's deep forest, there's going to be Fae.
The two elves that were in the room, that were assassins. Any is anyone following us or?
So far, we haven't seen anyone
Okay.
following us.
We haven't really looked. We haven't really looked. Like, Mio does a quick search around. Like, we haven't done that.
Also, it picks out like we haven't actually we haven't tried to hide it ourselves. We started looking
We
around.
really haven't tried to hide. Like, we've been on the main road. We've been on the King's Road. The All Saints Road. Mio would have said the All Saints Road. Headed south. I mean, we pulled off for a while. We kind of hid, but not.
Yeah. We know that Richard is also walking around with non-detection. I'm guessing he has an item on him that's doing it. Otherwise, it's expensive to keep that up.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think our main focus really needs to be. We're going back to this town.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's everybody.
That's going to be.
Yeah.
To help this child in this town. I think we go to its birthday party. Shoot, I did not get the kid's name.
Anthony Bell.
No, that's right. It was Anthony because I had Anthony and Anatoly. That's right. So I think we go to Anthony. Looking at the invitation, what time does the party start?
Let me look back at the invitation. 7 p.m. sharp.
Oh, okay. We've got some time, but also time works differently there. So something else is going on.
And
yeah.
Have
you maybe shown me the invitation?
Yeah.
So
I will post it in the book of faces.
The question is, do we want to try and deal with this kid at the party or before the party?
Well, the invitation says something about wait for my signal.
Mm-hmm.
Do we know, is the townspeople planning anything?
The question is, do we want the townspeople to even be there? Because they are well under this thing's control.
They fear it, but I don't know what their plan is.
Are they just thinking happy thoughts to keep the they being out of their
They fear it, and I mean, the reason I'm saying this is because when people are afraid of things, they do very odd things.
Mm-hmm.
People who are afraid of a person will sometimes stop people from doing anything to that person in fear that they will be punished.
Well, and you've already witnessed that the child has control over the people. I mean, Gertrude was gonna do who knows what, and Penny saw all those faces in the corn. Like, he has control over them.
He has control. He has the ability to make them go off and kill themselves or something.
Right. So if we come in thinking happy thoughts, I just don't know what wait for my signal is going to mean. I don't know what the intent is. I don't have that. Sebastian had that. So even in the notes.
Sebastian did not have even that when I talked to him last night. He has only what is in the letter. It's as Anatoly.
Okay. So we don't know what the signal is or what it what we're doing. We can go back to the town and just spend time in the town until the party. I mean, maybe they need help with setup. I mean, that could be something that.
So, I mean, that's that's what I want to try and figure out right now. Do we want to do this at the party, or do we want to do this before?
I don't think we have enough information to make that decision.
We know where the rift. We roughly know where the rift is at.
We have an idea where the rift is at. We know what needs to be done, and we know how to help, or at least a general idea of how to help. However, I don't know. I'm afraid what Martha and the rest of the town are going to do.
So
Sooner is probably better than later, and if it's a party and if it's for Anthony, I assume the party will be fairly large and could require setup. During that time, we could attempt to question people, but also, I don't know how.
I don't know if they're going to be able to do anything, say anything, because they seem afraid to talk.
Right, but you got vibes.
Yeah, but I think I have all the vibes we're going to get.
But if I being of the Fae, if I were to approach the child, I could see if maybe that would affect me.
Well, that's if you see him. I don't know how it works.
I didn't see him.
But Penny and Sebastian didn't either. They walked right by him like he didn't exist.
Okay.
It wasn't until I crouched down in front of him and acknowledged him that he showed any indication of seeing us.
I never saw the child, so I do not know.
It was really only you and
Tamir
Tamir that saw him. So at this point, I mean, it's going to come down to whoever can see him is going to be able to do something, and we're just going to have to be able to deal with, the rest of us are going to have to deal with the environmental everything else.
I mean, I guess our best course right now is to go back to town and actually get more of a feel for what's happening. Now that we have a basis of what's going on, we go back to town, and it could be something out of game question, out of character question.
Mm-hmm.
If we walked back to town, how long would that take?
If you're just walking,
Yeah.
Probably 30 minutes.
Oh, okay. Because in that case, I would say let's leave Anatoly here, keep him safe with the horses in the carriage.
Yeah, because the town's about 2 miles.
Oh, okay. So we're not too far off.
Yeah, you're not far.
Okay. In that case,
it was quick by carriage.
Yeah. So in that case, I think we walk we walk back to town. You stay here, stay safe.
I am grateful to do so.
Yep. And the other Sleeping Beauties, we'll just leave them in the carriage. I assume that's
Oh yeah, it's catching. They are also very tired.
if they're sleepy.
Yeah.
So yeah, this morning I'm only going to cast one spell.
Okay.
The thing that masks all of my thing. I don't think we need to cast seeming this morning. I think we can just look like ourselves.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think that's okay.
So what spell are you casting? Oh, the thing that just hides that you're a spellcaster?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then because I spend one sorcery point for that, so that it extends all day.
Okay.
And then I'm going to, after doing that, you know what? I'm also going to cast non-detection.
On yourself?
Hell no. Just leave it at that, because then I have to spend, oh god, what is that? 4 sorcery points to get it back? I think.
I don't remember. There's a third level spell. I think thirds are 5 points. I can't remember. Anyway.
Yeah, no, it's...
Yeah.
So, I think that's what we should do.
Before we leave, if I want to ask Anatoly, do you know anything about the assassins? Do you know who they were or anything?
No. I only know that I knew that you were going to be in danger when I got there. And that I was to help you and guide you as a guide in this world. I do not know who they are. I do understand that they were at least hired by Richard and these other gentlemen, but that's all I know. I had been waiting in secret for you. I did not communicate with them because I was afraid they would kill me. I am not a fighter. I have my abilities and the magic are nothing compared to yours. I just possess some magic.
What are your magical abilities? What talents do you possess when it comes to that?
Brief magic over fate.
Over fate?
Lucky magic. I have I can cast a few spells, but nothing powerful, nothing too offensive. They locked me in the tower. I was training to be a cleric for some time under the 12 Saints, but they eventually figured out that my magic was not of the Saints, but of something else. I know how to pick a lock. If you need a lock picked, I do know how to survive on the streets. I know a little thievery. And I can make a light in my hand, cast light, and and I can shoot a little ray of light at people, and it kind of burns.
Got it. Okay.
It scares farmers, and that's about it. I have some illusions I can cast as well.
Okay.
Look, it's me. And there's just like a duplicate of him.
Right.
I don't know how to get rid of it. It stays there for like 3 minutes.
Okay. That's okay.
Little duplicate gives a thumbs up.
Did you have any other questions that you wanted to ask?
No, not at this time.
Okay. Good?
Yeah.
All right. I think we walk back to town.
All right. I'm going to put my hood up so that I'm covered.
Okay.
On the road,
Mm-hmm.
Is it primarily kind of bordered by forest?
Yes, you are flanked by forest along the side of the road. It is clear cut about 50 yards on either side. So the road itself is the road is 100 yards wide. Like this road is, even in our terms, bigger than most like major freeways. This is like LA. The equivalent would be LA's major freeway that runs through the middle of it. That thing that's just massive. That's got like 12 lanes on each side. It's as big as that, and it's made of white marble, and it goes as far as the eye can see, north and south.
Um,
And looks very clean right now, obscenely clean. Like it's just had a really deep cleaning about six.
Yeah,
Had a good
months
acid
ago.
wash.
Good acid
Yeah.
wash.
we learned a lot about the snail,
Um,
which you were going to send me a document.
Oh, Lis Harbonox. I owe you. I owe you a document on that.
which that might not be a bad thing to go deal with if we can.
Why is that our problem?
Not our problem, but we could use the
Notoriety? Why would we want to draw
No.
that much attention to ourselves?
the bounty?
bounty. We could also use the. Remember, it could get us in as magi of the church.
It would
Basically, give us a nobility.
It would essentially, yes. It would. But you have to find a way to kill a snail the size of a mountain that apparently can regenerate instantaneously from any damage.
I feel like we have smaller problems to deal with at the moment.
We do. We do.
We could try riding it all the way to Zymes. It's very slow, though. Apparently, like, they've compared it to a baby crawling.
Wait, people can ride the snail?
I haven't tried. Maybe we could. It wouldn't be very fast.
But there are other possibilities.
Get up
They
on the shelf.
is being watched by an entire contingent of Black Knights, though.
Not a good
I
idea.
feel like that's a bad choice.
Yeah, not a good idea.
Okay, so we have a much more reticent problem. We have a child we need to save.
There is a third option. We could just go to Zymes and say it's their problem.
But it's a child. If we don't help it, who will?
The only reason I'm thinking it would be a good idea for us to do this is because we could also get the Fey being that is inhabiting this child would owe us.
Would it? Because based off what you said, it's a thought. And we assume at this point in time that it's somehow associated with Smiley the Defiler, who already owes us. I don't know that that's a piece of him may not be worth a full favor. If that's your motivation.
Otherwise, it is a. Yes, it's a child, but it's still
It's not just the child though. It's the
a
other
waste of
children.
time.
It's the entire town. It's the other children. Who knows what he's done to the other children already? Poor little Janet or whatever her name was may not even be alive.
It is a town that is cursed.
Right. And if the church won't do something, then somebody has to.
Yes, but it is not going to help us finish our problem before Richard. This is slowing us down. Unfortunately.
So are you voting, are you suggesting that we just leave these people to whatever fate this is?
Unfortunately, yes. I don't know what it's gonna. I understand it's cold and very heartless, but what happens if Richard reaches the goal before us and we keep stopping for every
And what is Richard's goal
problem?
here? He's looking for the same thing we are. We don't know that he has any other information than you.
Do you think we're going to get the information?
No, but I think we could save hundreds of people. We don't know how long they've been tortured here. All right. I will go with what the group decides. Are we leaving or are we addressing this issue?
Well, I think that we should probably address this issue.
I believe we could address the issue. I just don't know if it's a worthwhile use of our time.
Never know what it's going to lead us to.
If it does get us another boon from Skylar the Defiler, or a greater one, would that be worth your time?
If it could, yes. But the thing is, from your thought on it, it wouldn't.
This is. I'm not quite sure where I'm going with this, but is there anything with the Fae that would be kind of akin to fate?
Oh yeah.
Where I'm in my thinking, this town, this problem may be fate for us.
We've been fated to help them,
Yeah,
is what you're saying.
kind of.
I mean, they may have. It's a stretch. I don't know if they're going to have information about what we're looking for, but we also need coin and disguise. And if we're going into Zymes, which is a major city, we probably need to know more about this place. I mean, how long ago was it? We're talking to Anatole. How long ago were you in Zymes?
Enzymes. I was in Zymes 7 months ago.
Okay. And we assume this
What time is it outside of the bubble? Or what time of year is it outside the bubble?
It is currently summer.
Summer? So they've been like this for at least a year.
which is why his birthday is coming up. Depending on what sort of timeline. I mean, we're pretty familiar with timey-wimey bullshit. And don't you like to study the whole Enochian thing?
I've gotten as much from this area as I think I'm going to get.
But you don't want to see how it resolves? You have
Yes,
theories.
but the only reason I'm saying this is because it's, yes, we can solve this problem, and I have no problem solving this problem. But how many other problems are going to come up along our path that are going to slow us down that are we going to stop for?
There's no way that I would have any idea to answer that. I get what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. It's another delay. It's another pause. But Richard was also already so far ahead of us. He may not even be in Zymes. He could be in Turin or back down to La Hobart already. I'm sure I'm butchering those names. I'm sorry.
What we need,
I'd vote for Mars.
Yeah.
what we need, honestly, is a book of. We need a map of ancient grave sites. Is what we need.
Yeah. And I agree, this farming community probably won't have something like that. Is there any indication that there would be anything like that
Unless it would be in the church.
Yeah, potentially in the church area, maybe. That looks like the place that might have books in it. Everything else looks agrarian.
Do we break into the church and you know what? I say we break into the church,
Okay.
then we go deal with the child.
Okay.
Because if there is anything in the church, at least we're already in the area and we can deal with the child. But
Okay.
I'd say we break into the church first.
I think, right, we didn't have any issue breaking into the other tavern or no one stopped us from going into these other places. And you guys did material damage no one said anything about it. We left town with no issues whatsoever. We can go back to town, walk up and go into the church, see what we can find there. And, I mean, we have until approximately 7 to figure out how we're going to deal with the child. And we can address whatever issues come up between now and when we get to Zymes, when we get to those issues. There's no way for me to know. This is totally an unknown land to us. That flower is nothing like I've ever seen before. She points at some weed that's on the ground. Just, that's the local flora that I'm still trying to figure out. I don't even know if I can use that medicinally. She looks over at Anatole.
That'll give you a rush.
Yeah. We could use that.
Um,
Wearing a glove, she picks it up.
Okay.
I want this out there.
Yeah.
We need to figure out if we're going to stop and deal with every little problem that we see along the way, or are we going to pass by things so that we can work on our greater goal?
How far away is Zymes from where we are now?
Let me check the map. There's a scale on it. Or give me a second.
While you're doing that, Mio would counter that, Skylar, with one hex is 12 miles, and we're multiple hexes away.
Oh, well, there you go. You beat me to it.
Yeah.
If I
We
can
are
count it, you're 1, 2,
probably
3,
2 days.
4, 5. 5 hexes away.
So probably
So
about
still
2 days.
I think we need to wait for the rest of everybody to wake up before we have that sort of conversation. That's not a decision that we can make, and you know that they won't stick to it even if we make a decision now. If we make a
I
decision
understand
to
that,
ignore
but
all that,
we need to figure that out. That is something we are going to need to do.
Great.
Because I don't think we have time to deal with every little problem we're going to find. Because in a place that has the kind of problems that this fucking realm has, I doubt. I shouldn't say I doubt. I know we're going to run into so many other things.
I'm sure that we will. I have no doubt that we will.
Part of why I think that maybe we should deal with this is, one, it seems to be a different time there. It's part of the Enochian something. And I think that anywhere where time is being messed up is maybe something to investigate.
Mio's gonna feel real bad about this, but she's gonna look you dead in your eye and say, "Didn't your sister care about time?"
She only became a priest of that stupid church so that we could get healing potions.
It still mattered enough for her to do it. Mio not knowing Uzula at all is definitely weaponizing emotional damage here.
A ham sandwich was enough for her to care about it. Loved her to death, but
You're not wrong. God forbid it was a pickled herring sandwich. She would have sold her soul to Satan.
loved her to death, but committing to something heart and soul was not my sister.
All right. I agree. There's time. Time is an issue here. Time is an issue everywhere we go. It seems to be a whole thing with this frickin' family and time. But at the same point, we have other ties to this. You're tied to the Fall Court. This is Fall Court related. We've already, as a group, got ties to Mr. Defiler. So if this is part of his problem too, that only ingratiates him more into our pack or into our favor.
And as a personal journey, that I think Demolis would feel rather bad about abandoning a child.
And pulling out for a second, Leslie is asking Skylar, you're not arguing against not doing this issue. You're arguing about the next issue and the next issue and the next issue.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So it's not that we're not going to do this.
Yeah.
It's the next issue. Okay. I'm going to say right now, no decision is going to be made without the rest of everybody else here because this is only half the group. So we can circle this for a long time, or we can go do the thing.
This is better playing devil's advocate.
Yep. Nope. I get that, and I support it. I support it, and I know they're doing it. But
it's a very pro-veteran thing to go, we could just leave.
No, and I get that, but also I'm concerned we're going to just spin on this.
Yeah.
Because we have enough reason to do this, but I get what you're saying about the next thing. And so I think that's a conversation we should absolutely have. I agree wholeheartedly. We should have that conversation with everybody else.
Yeah.
So on that
Just to be fair, this is not our realm.
This is not our realm. No.
This realm could come to a complete apocalypse, and it does not affect our lives other than us being here.
Only that it can lose the ring. Which, yeah. No, I get it. All right, let's go do this, and then we'll deal with other things. So we're going to the church. We're walking back to town. We're going back to Plan A, where we're leaving Anatoly here.
All right, he volunteers to stay behind at this point.
Right.
Because he was on the carriage the whole time. He's creeped out.
Right.
Yeah.
So we are walking back. So I assume our conversation of are we going to do this and then the next and the next. I think that
after we decided yes, we will go to the church. That's when we probably decided to get
walking. Okay. So we are headed to the church.
Okay.
I would, as we're walking, I would like to try and keep an eye out for anything in the forest.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead and roll me a perception check.
Oh yeah. Okay. Ooh. 25.
25. Jesus, that is very high. As you are walking back, I would say about 200 yards before you get into town, you do notice in the cornfield, your eyes were trained looking for this. You notice that there are wheel tracks, like wagon tracks that go off the road that are somewhat fresher than most, because you see the tear in the grass, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's very soft earth. If you ever notice, like farmland is very soft earth because it's always like moist. They're just keeping it like so the corn can grow. And it goes out, and you notice that the corn is kind of broken up in an area. It looks like a while back, a wagon, not too far, maybe like couple weeks ago, had gone in, and a lot of the corn is kind of broken in, but it's starting to stand back up. And you see parts of like pieces of a wagon that has gone off the road and into the cornfields.
Okay. I'm going to mention that to the
While he's
people.
looking,
Okay.
Mia, once they've crossed over basically the magical threshold and we're in the fall quarter.
Oh, you are fully.
Right,
You've been here for a while. Yeah.
Right, but I'm saying that's when she's doing this.
Yeah.
Faithful Hound.
Okay. When do you want to cast it?
When I get over the threshold.
Because you cast it in an area and it stays in that area.
It stays. Let
Right?
me go back to the spell.
Does it have to stay within the area of it's cast in?
It stays by me. It's tied to Faithful Hound. Hold on, let me. I have it pulled up. You conjure a phantom hound. You can dismiss it as an action, or until it moves more than 100 feet away from it. You can see within range, so I can say, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
Can
you like a dog on a leash that's anchored into the ground?
Okay, then I don't do it yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a nice spell. It's
right.
It
doesn't go with.
Yeah.
I was expecting more of the with.
Kind of think of like it's a fireball, right? Think of it like it's a dog on a leash and a fireball square.
Larger, small creature. That's where I got the confusion. Is the 30 feet.
Really good for long.
Yeah.
Really good for rest, and pretty good in combat too.
Yep. Okay. So never mind. I didn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you see the wagon? You pointed out.
I see the tracks. I don't see the wagon, do I?
You do see parts of the wagon, but it's in
Oh.
the cornfield. It's gone about 20 yards into the cornfield.
Okay. Can I tell if it like are the ruts deep, like it's carrying something, or that
With a
like
25, it looked like it did have some weight because it did like dig into the side because the road is kind of like on a extended hill up, right? And then it's got to go down and then it goes into the fields, right? So that's how you're able to see it because like even because the hill that the road is built on is up and you can kind of see you're not quite parallel with the top of it, but you're like near the top of it, which is nice for corn because corn can get like 8 feet tall.
Yeah.
Right.
I think we should maybe.
I mean, it's still pretty early. I assume, Tony, correct me if I'm wrong here, we talked for like an hour before we walked in, so it's like 8 a.m.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
That sounds fair.
So we still have plenty of time. So yeah, let's go check out the.
In that hour, I did my arcane rest. If that's all right.
Okay, that's fine.
Put me back to 11.
With what Mio saw yesterday, with the corn and everything,
Mm-hmm.
she's looking kind of at the wagon as we're approaching it. Can I do like a perception check? Because I'm not looking for anything specific. I'm kind of just looking around for anything else that I might pick up that kind of tied into what we saw yesterday.
That sounds fair. Yeah, go ahead and roll me a perception check.
Oh, that is cocked. Sad sauce. That's going to be a dirty 20.
Okay. Yes. As you start to get closer towards there, you start noticing there are whispers coming from the cornfield. As you start walking towards it, you start feeling more of a presence in the cornfield. You're aware of that, a feeling like you're being watched.
Is this familiar to what it was yesterday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I make out any of the words?
With a 20. Yeah. Let me take a look. Yes. Hide. Watch. Hide.
By any chance, did I tell if these are children's voices?
You rolled a 25. You
Yeah.
get more distinct. It looks like a mix of voices. Older men, younger women, maybe a kid, a dwarf, something that sounds like it has a dwarven accent to it. A mix of voices, all of them very soft. And each one seems like it's coming detached, like it's whispers on the wind, but definitely from the cornfield as you got closer. You normally wouldn't hear it, except you're really listening. And with your elven ears, you can pick up a lot more tones than other people can.
Could I kind of whisper who's watching?
Oh, sure. Roll me a persuasion check.
Is there any way?
Are you speaking? What language are you speaking? Sorry. Are you speak? Can you speak Old Felorian?
Not sure. I don't think so.
No, you can speak it.
I don't believe so.
That's what
Okay.
I should have put up.
You catch a couple of Mithrian, a couple of voices in Mithrian. Okay,
Okay.
that was a noise. Anyway, yeah, go ahead and roll me a persuasion check.
Okay.
Is there any way I can do guidance on him doing that, or do you want me to do my own check because I can understand them?
If you know he's doing it, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I can see him doing it, so
Yeah.
guidance you got a D4.
Okay, you say a quick prayer.
Yeah,
And
kind of pat you on the back.
it's normally a verbal, like, bless you, my son, in the name of the Holy Ghost and the God above.
All hail the Lady of Knowledge,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you
yeah.
understand what you hear.
So I rolled a 20 and a 4.
In a 4.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Ooh. Let's see. 25 again.
Woo!
Great success.
All right. Good job. Okay, 25. You hear voices in Mithrian. These are the whispers you hear. We wait in the fields. Hide or he'll see you. Hide, hide,
I'm going to tell them what I heard if they didn't hear it. Also.
Do we hear it?
I cast non-detection.
Okay. You cast non-detection on...
Myself.
Okay. You are under the effects of non-detection.
Me and everybody within 10 feet of me.
Oh, okay. Also a good point. You can tell people that if you want.
Stick within 10 feet of me.
Okay.
Do the whispers stop?
Whispers immediately stop. You both stop hearing whispers.
It can't see us at this point. Nothing that can magically look at us. Right now, as long as you're within 10 feet of me.
But we can't hear what they're saying. Do you think it's coming from him?
I think it's coming from entities that were killed in the cornfield, and he can look through the cornfield as if he is scrying.
What a fall court thing.
That fall.
You know, the Lady of Answers would probably know that, but the Lady of Mysteries wouldn't tell you.
If it's not a fall court thing, it is very much within an Enochian realm of capability.
Are we by the wagon at this point? Like, are we?
You guys didn't tell me you were going in yet. You
Oh,
guys
sorry,
were
I
just
thought-
standing outside.
Sorry, I thought that was when we were walking into
that was
it.
you guys
Got
like
it.
standing
Okay.
Just at
outside.
the edge
Yeah,
of the
at the
cornfield.
Oh.
Us got that.
Okay, so in that case, so not going to the wagon, because if they're coming from the corner, if it's within the corn. I mean, if they can't see us, let's go look.
Mhm.
Okay, so with the non-detect, let's go look at the wagon.
Stay within 10 feet of me.
So, hugging your arm, walking like this.
Okay. You walk into the field. As you walk into the field, you find there is a wagon. It looks like it's just rolled in here, and the corn just kind of started to stand up, and it's just kind of grown around it. You see what looks like a scarecrow that is manning a wagon. With two, and he is holding the reins, and the reins are attached to two scarecrow horses. Each, you know how scarecrows are filled with straw? These scarecrows are filled with corn.
Yeah.
And just standing there holding the reins into two horses. The back of the wagon looks like it's filled with goods.
Ooh.
And and
Let's go through
it's
the
got like
goods.
a tarp over it, obviously, to like keep stuff from going in. But yeah, oddly enough, an oddly placed scarecrow made of corn, holding the reins attached to two horse scarecrows made of corn.
All right. Just stay next to me. I'm going to get in the
I want you to get it because I want to take a closer look at the scarecrow. I want to know if it's similar to the one that was standing in the center of town.
While she's doing that,
Yeah.
I'm going to be looking at the goods in the back of the cart.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure,
And
sure.
then-
I kind of want to look through, like scan the area. Is there any other scarecrows?
Okay. As you kind of now are able to stand up on the wagon, you can look down now. Go ahead and roll a perception check for that. You roll a.
I believe it was religion, arcane, or
Yeah.
investigation was what we did last time.
Yeah. Roll me, since you're trying to compare the two, because you already know some stuff. Roll me an investigation. Are you doing comparative analysis?
And then, can I guidance myself?
Yeah, you can. You know you're going to check it out. You can go, Lord, you lady of blah blah. You know.
Yeah.
You should probably figure out a prayer. You guys.
I'll come up with a prayer.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah. Insert prayer.
Because that would be like a good like role play. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Now you're.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'll do that.
Okay.
I rolled a nat 20.
Nice.
Gee.
Good
Good job.
Sir.
27. I rolled a 19 and a 1 plus my 7.
Another pretty much almost critical success. Good job. And Skylar, no roll necessary. You're literally just look. You're gonna find like you can't fail flipping it over and acknowledging what you see.
I mean, that's fair. That's
You're
fair.
looting.
Right?
I'm looting.
You're looting.
Yeah. Better loot.
Okay. Your character. As you're standing up and looking,
I'm going to Viking.
this cornfield has an odd number of scarecrows, not on stands, all over. You see them everywhere. Maybe 30? 30 just within sight? You know? Again, you could see a ways, and you got a good height, but you can pick out like, I see like 30 different scarecrows in awkward positions just in the cornfield.
I'm thinking that possibly the townspeople have been turned into scarecrows, and that the entity is looking through the scarecrows.
As you get close, you're looking at it. It's different from the one that's in the middle of town. The one in the middle of town looked like it was actually just a scarecrow that was built there. This one looks too well made, and from what you can tell, the corn stalks are fresh out of it. Right? Normally, like if something's made, like straw's dry. These corn stalks are wet and still ripe. The corn hasn't fallen apart. And you notice the stalk pieces go through the feet, down, and then attach into the ground. They're rooted in there. Somebody just took a bunch of corn that detangled and made a scarecrow out of it. The clothes are also, as you look, like, the clothes are too nice. At first you're like, oh, it's scarecrow. It's just clothes that have been out in the elements for a while, but these look like nice traveling clothes. They've just been sitting out in the sun too long, right? And been exposed to the elements.
Another thought that has occurred to me is that maybe the signal that was mentioned in the invitation is that they take travelers and kill them or turn them into scarecrows.
Skylar, there's a lot of items in here.
We wouldn't be taking a whole wagon's worth of items, though.
There are bolts of beautiful, vibrant cloths of yellows, reds, blues. There are barrels of pickled vegetables in the back of here. There are bags of spices. There look to be a nice, fine set of ceramic mugs that look like they have a give me a second. I gotta look what it is supposed to be. A laughing barrel on them and a drowned
magical
crow. No, none of them magical yet.
That
There is one thing that's magical here. I will get to that. There are candied nuts. There are bundles of firewood, right? Sorry, by bundles of firewood, I mean like there's the it's like the coal type that's like made to be like a fire starter. That's made of like this clay, coal and clay and other things that like lights really easy.
It's the blacksmith starter, basically.
Yeah, and there's a nice set of wood carving tools. There is a pair of golden earrings, a bundle of dried herbs. There's a nice decorative, beautiful sword in here.
Ooh.
Right? It's even in a carrying case, and it's like signed by like the person who made it. Not magical. There is a jar of these nice mushrooms. It seems to be sealed though. There is a couple other small bits and baubles, and there is a lantern. The lantern is magical.
Okay. I will try and study the lantern real quick.
Okay. Go ahead and I think you got a feat where you can do that now.
Yeah,
Or something.
I got knowledge art. Yeah, I got a feat that allows me to do it. I get advantage at it.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead and roll advantage.
22. Because yeah, between the two feats that I have, I get advantage and I have a plus 10. Or I have a plus.
Okay. It's definitely a magical lantern. You think it might be like maybe a lantern of revealing, maybe not. Something similar to that. If you spend more time identifying it, you will know what it does.
I just that your puppy is tearing apart something. It has some
that's fine. That happens.
Okay.
It's crinkled from the toy.
It's crinkled from the toy itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Skylar, what I will do is, and I've been doing this for the other game, is I'm going to make a Word doc in your folder with the magical items that you find.
Okay.
That way, I don't have to like send it to you in a Facebook chat and then you can't find it. So there you go. There is the item, and then I'm going to call this. Let's call this items and clues you find. I'll find a better title for it later.
That's under gaming tools?
No, it's under your personal folder, the folder called Skylar.
Okay.
If you go on that folder, I've made a document with a Word doc.
Yeah.
I've badly named it. You can rename it later to something that
Might
works.
refresh you just say good.
Yeah.
There you go. It's 8:25.
825. Okay. Do you want to, Skylar, do you want to know the items that are in there?
Yeah.
The merchant's wagon stuff?
She wrote pretty much everything down there.
I got the basic. He's got actual, like, you as a merchant.
Yeah, if you want to put that down, because I might actually just take this entire fucking part. I'll be honest. We could sell everything.
That's unethical.
And
This man has already been turned into a scarecrow.
so
Okay, I know. I do have a question. Hold on, before we go too far with that, because Mio, while you're doing that, seeing what you're doing, Mio specifically is watching for any sort of reaction or any movement. Does the scarecrow seem to acknowledge or know any sort? She's intently focusing on anything from the scarecrow to if it's still alive.
He doesn't seem to indicate or whisper anything, but you also know your insight is non-detection.
Right.
If you would like to leave as non-detection, there might be a check.
I will look at Demalis and say, watch close. And then I will leave his I will leave his 10 feet. I will go 11 feet away from Better.
Okay.
Specifically 11 feet. Yeah. And Mother Knowledge, please give me guidance.
Okay. Roll me a stealth check.
Okay.
And then roll me a perception check. And you can choose which one you want to have the guidance on.
Okay.
Call us a skill challenge.
Okay, I'm going to roll the stealth with the guidance for 13.
13.
13.
Okay. 13. Okay.
And then you said perception or investigation. I'm sorry, I missed it.
Whichever. Roll me a perception.
Oh, that is a natural 20. 24.
Okay.
Great success.
As you do step outside, you again feel eyes upon you. And you feel a presence coming from the scarecrow in front of you, as if it is looking at you. And you, since you rolled a natural 20, in Old Felorian, it will say, "Run, run, 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 run." Hear a crinkling behind you, a crinkling in the leaves. What do you do?
I'm guessing we can't hear that at all.
Hold on.
Nope.
She immediately takes the 1 foot step to get back into the non-detect
Mm-hmm.
and turns around and looks and whispers in Old Florian, or whispers not in Old Florian, it's here. Like to you guys. She steps back so she's back in the non-detect bubble and it's here. And then she's looking directly behind where she was.
So
At that point, in the distance, standing, Demolus, since you rolled that natural 20 before and you were very aware, you see in the distance the spreading of corn, as if it's just spreading open, and a very small bubble as it's starting to come your way abnormally fast. What do you guys do?
We need to get out of the corn.
Like a shark in the water.
I say we run.
okay,
So
I grab the lantern, the sword, and the gold earrings, and we run.
Lantern, sword, and gold earrings, and you run. Okay.
Right.
Note which ones you took, and the rest is in the cart.
So we run back to the road and head into town and run into town, or are we running away?
I would.
Because it's
say,
a split second decision.
I'd say town.
Okay, so we run into town.
Okay, you run to town,
run
I
back.
assume, in the direction of the church.
And yes, we are headed towards the church because that was our original plan. So that's what, yeah.
Okay, sounds fun to me. Well, then I guess we will pick back up there. I'm gonna put us on break, which now I can hit a button. Hey, and it works. Hey, and I
That
just
was
have
creepy.
to hit.
That was so creepy.
There we go. And we are back audio-wise. Is everyone's mic on? Mine's not
Yep.
on.
Mine is on.
Oh, does it shut off? No,
It'll turn green when it's on.
Right, but do they shut off like after a certain time?
Nope.
Or?
No.
Nope.
It's got a 8-hour battery life, I think.
Okay.
So
No, I checked mine. Still green.
mine was not green. Good check for me. C6 isn't on. All right. Okay. We are back. So you guys make it. Apparently, Sif does not approve.
No.
Uh,
She's concerned. Is there anything chasing us?
as you make it past and you start running down the road, you see something in the corn made it towards the direction of the merchant's wagon, and you rolled a natural 20 before. You look back briefly. Who looks back briefly?
As soon as we're out of the corn, I would look back briefly. Yeah.
I do.
Haha. You look back on Enoch as. Never mind. I guess I'm the only person that remembers in the Bible. Anyway.
I understand where you were going with that.
I'm not turning you to salt. Only the woman I will turn to salt.
I say that tracks.
That tracks.
I am a salty bitch.
There you go. That bitch.
I'm that salty bitch.
We could always use you for the giant snail.
There we go.
That's true.
There we go.
Guys, I have solved the snail problem. You just feed Mio to the snail.
Just feed the line of her characters as she keeps feeding them in to create a giant pile of salt. It's great. Anyway, no. Everyone who looks back, you see it stops at the corn. And the corn opens briefly for a minute. And you don't see anything. But you feel a presence. And it closes. Retreats back into the corn.
I know it's a brief second of time, but Mio has had interactions with Anthony and the Whispers. Is there any feeling of there being a correlation? Like, is that the same feeling?
You've met Anthony before.
Yeah.
So yes, you feel that presence of Anthony.
That was Anthony. I'm confident.
You didn't see him, but yes, you felt whatever that was Anthony. Like a shark smelling blood in the water.
How the hell did he find us?
Mio doesn't. I will say Mio doesn't share that out loud because so far neither of you have seen Anthony.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you guys are running towards, and I'll see you.
Well, I mean, it was a thing coming after us. That actually, he would say, "How the hell did he find us?" Because he's assuming it's the thing that was looking for people in the corn.
Right, but you don't know that would be, or unless that's what you're saying. You think it is.
Yeah, that's what he thinks it is because
of
the scrying thing in the corn.
Got it.
It's not. Yeah, no, I'm not. This is. How the hell did he find us?
The corn has eyes.
Yeah, I have non-detection. It wasn't.
But I stepped out.
Unless. You did?
Yeah, I was trying to investigate the scarecrow while you were robbing him.
He's gone.
No, he's still there. He knew what was happening. He warned me that something was back there.
The voices in the corn warned you, or the scarecrow warned you?
The merchant scarecrow, the guy sitting, the scarecrow sitting on the wagon.
All right.
Yeah. I'm trying to think how I'd rephrase something. I'm gonna. Do you think that was the child?
Vio just kind of shrugs as we're running.
I don't know if it was the child or something the child summoned, but it had to do with that, I'm guessing.
I think everything here has to do with Anthony. But we make it to the church and we bust in.
You bust in. As you make it to a beautiful, a decent sized chapel in the middle of town. Looks more like I would describe it it's probably one of the few stone buildings here,
Okay.
right? Not made of wood. It is only about 1 story high. It looks like it does have a shingled, vaulted ceiling, vaulted steeple top. It does have what looks to be a single bell tower in the back. It's not quite a bell tower, but definitely like there's a bell up there,
Right.
Yeah.
right? And probably something where to ring it, but it doesn't look like you could like climb steps. It does look like maybe there's like a ladder that somebody would use to probably get up there, right?
Yeah.
And it has a steepled top as well. The doors are double doors. They have a single board across the front of the double doors, preventing them from being able to be opened. And there are decorative colored glass, one on either side, decorative glass windows, and probably one in the back as well.
So three total stained glass windows.
3 total, one on either side and one in the front. There's no stained glass in the front where the door is, though. It's just a big double door, probably about 9 feet tall, and about with both of them either side is probably about 3.5 feet each, so probably about 6 feet wide.
Do we meet much resistance getting through?
Hmm?
Like we're intending to run into the church.
As you were running in town, you guys were aware. It looks like some people you'll see people poke their heads up outside of stores. It looks like there is an older woman with a big smile on her face who's sweeping on her front porch, and she'll wave at you.
He'll wave back
as you're going by. But that's about it. Yeah.
Actually, we might be able to get some information from them. No, because we can't let them know.
Let's focus here first.
Yeah.
So we're in the church looking for any sort of office, any sort of records. It's a small town, so I mean, Mio's guessing there's not going to be a lot, just because she's familiar with small churches.
Mm-hmm.
So, any idea where I would go or look or anything? Like, is there part of the rectory that would have that?
Do you guys open up the door, like take the wood off so you can go inside? Or...
Yeah.
Okay, you guys do that. You take the board off. You open up the doors as you go inside. You see this looked to once be a place of worship. You see a lot of pews. The pews themselves, you see 3 scarecrow-like figures in the pews, 2 on one side, 1 on the other. You see a singular scarecrow-like figure standing behind the main what's it called? Pulpit. Looks like it's hunched over a giant bowl of water. And it itself, the corn looks like it's growing out of the floorboards, right where these people are. The corn is still alive. You see behind the pulpit is looks like a figure of a woman carved from wood, who is in painted white flowing robes, but it looks like in the wood is immaculately carved. Looks to be painted to look like a woman. You can tell it's wood because the eyes have been gouged out, and there is a corn stalk that is you see what looks like a piece of corn has been jammed into where the mouth is, where like the figure's like this, except there's like a piece of corn stuck in their mouth, and it looks like their eyes have kind of like visibly been like gouged out of the wood, right? Where it looks like it scrapes, like it's not decoratively made that way. And
Sorry.
yes, and that's it. Perception and investigation checks can be made in this area. If you
I
were
will.
Sorry, you had a question. Go.
Yes, I want to do perception investigation. However, specifically religion, because we knew this was a church of one of the 12 saints,
Ooh.
and she wants more on that woman.
Yes, you go ahead and roll a religion. That is definitely good. Yeah.
I'll do investigation.
Do an investigation.
I'll do a perception.
Perception sounds good.
I
Or
also,
any other check that you think is relevant here.
I don't know how I know this. I thought occurred that maybe the townspeople might be replaced.
We would have shared with you prior to coming in the description of Anthony.
Uh-huh.
So far, everybody in town looks human, except for the finger that he found in the finger of the butcher.
Yeah.
The butcher was partially transformed. I believe what's going on is every time they act up, Anthony either partially or completely turns them into scarecrows.
Yeah.
Great.
What I'm wondering though is if when they're turned into scarecrows, could they also be like like a drone or a wax a thrall, I guess. Maybe could take their
A fetch?
place.
You could, that would be definitely a Arcana or History.
Is that something that I could assist him with if I'm proficient? Because I'm proficient with.
He's currently having this thought. So
Sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Arcana or History for you on that.
Okay.
So you would roll for Arcana or History.
Yeah.
Yeah. 26. Fuck you. Jesus Christ. Good.
You are to religion what I am to arcane.
Yeah.
Oh,
I am the most wizardy sorcerer ever.
Yeah.
I'll be honest.
In all fairness, I'm a cleric.
Okay, so 26. You?
I'm rolling good tonight. A dirty 20.
20. Okay. And Skylar, what'd you get?
20.
And which one were you doing?
Investigation.
Okay. You found a trap door in the back corner.
Okay.
So you found a secret door. That's worth XP. Down. A secret door that leads into the basement. It didn't look like there was a basement here, but you have found the secret door. It's behind the pulpit, and you kind of look like it's behind the statue of the woman, who you know as, this is Saint Celeste. Saint Celeste is the saint of, I want to say saint of healing. Let me pull up the religion doc.
We have an Excel file because we got a list of all of the, through our conversations with Anthony,
Yes.
the dude on the carriage, we know who all the saints are and their main features.
Yes.
Right. And we know Saint Celeste is probably the one who's most likely to be generous.
Yes, she is good aligned and towards healing. I think that is in the last will and testament. 12 saints. Let me just double check. Saint Celeste the healer, patron saint of healing and compassion.
Makes sense why he wouldn't want her around.
Yes, definitely you think that Anthony would have power over those things. So you would have to be, if he was around, definitely careful. He might be able to animate them. He might be able to see and hear through them as well. So far, you guys haven't said anything as you just walked in here, but definitely something to be careful of, and probably alive as well.
I wave at everyone.
Yeah. Well, if you're by the trapdoor, I'm there looking at the statue.
Yeah,
So
you're right next. You're here
Yeah.
next to me. When you get close, I still have non-detection up, so I go down the trapdoor.
The basement could be full of rats, or it could be full of records.
Only one way to find out.
All right.
Okay. You go into the basement.
Sorry. Before we go down, I will pull the corn from her mouth.
Pull the corn from her mouth.
Yeah, as a sign of respect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Gain 1 concordance. As you go into the basement, looks like it is a small, looks like a small office. It also looks like this is a place where offerings are put, and probably where like extra food is stored and other things. You see a couple barrels down here. Barrels of fresh water, barrels of what looks to be like stored grain, if times get hard, that kind of thing. Maybe it's your character with your high check. This is tithing,
Okay.
right? These are tithings. These are like farmers' tithings. It looks like where they're stored at. It doesn't look like the tithings have been pulled out for a while. You do find like a small box full of coins. Ooh, it kind of rattles. It is locked, but it's a small box.
Nice.
You will leave that here. That is for the church. I understand it's not your religion, but that it is things these people have offered to the church. And this is for Lady Celeste. She's probably one of the only ones who is going to be on our side should we ever need it. But yeah, please.
We could also use the money.
Yeah, and we can earn that honestly.
This is earning it honestly.
That is a tithing to the church. We cannot, unless the church pays us directly. We cannot.
Your religion is very.
Not. This is not my religion. This is my morals. Thank you. I appreciate you. She'll hand you a gold piece. This is what I can offer you. It doesn't work here, but
Does me no good here.
it might help later. You like shiny things. You took those earrings.
Yeah, because I can sell them.
Well, it's gold. You can let this down. If you don't want it, she'll put it away.
Those are things you can apparently see that are out. The room is about as big as this room, if it helps.
Mhm.
It's like a more longish, right, than it
Right.
is anything else, but it looks like it's dug out from the side. It is walled in
Mhm.
with stone. I would say go ahead and second skill challenge. Go ahead and roll me a. I assume you're trying to kind of look for stuff. So how about
Yeah.
I will take a investigation, perception, or some other type of check you think is germane to trying to sift out clues down here.
Your investigation.
Investigation's fine.
I'm leaning towards like a history check, just with her knowledge of various churches and various places that she's been. She's looking for any other.
Yeah.
Where are the records? Because we're looking specifically for
You're
something.
looking for records. Go
And
ahead
she will
and
she will send up a prayer as
okay.
well.
Yeah, go ahead and roll me a history with that D4. Anything for you?
I'm sorry. Did you say you're doing perception?
Investigation.
Oh, okay. Then I'll do a perception.
Perception? Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
27.
27. Okay.
20.
20. Okay.
19.
19. Also really good. 19 being the lowest number. That's really good for you guys.
Yeah, we're doing okay. And now that I've said it, fuck.
Perception. As you step down here, the others didn't notice it, right? Maybe because you guys are just more hyper aware. Maybe because you're looking for things. Maybe because
Watching Better Not Steal tithing.
maybe you're paying attention to make sure Vetter's not stealing anything. But you feel as you're with your perception, once again, elves, strong sense of hearing, smell, touch, right? You're like cats.
Yeah.
you feel a presence not here. Like a pressure that's been around you since you stepped into the town is now gone.
Okay.
In here, you don't feel the fall cord.
Okay.
As you look around, you notice that a lot of the stones here, about every fourth stone you see has like a small bit of crystal that's imbibed into it and has some etchings.
Okay.
Better you don't feel magic.
Okay. I was about to ask you because I'm like,
Yeah. You haven't felt magic in here at all in this
Okay.
church. But yeah, crystals. And you notice that every once in a while, like you see like the crystals kind of have like a small faint pulse.
Okay.
Once again, you don't feel magic.
also, anything invisible around me?
Nothing invisible so far.
Because that's the other thing it does.
Thank you for reminding me of that. That's a good thing to remind.
Okay.
Skylar, with your 20, you as you're looking around, you're honestly trying to look for clues, but then all of a sudden you stop. You look to your side. You don't look too quick with your eyes, though, because you feel like you're being watched by something. That presence hasn't left you yet. You see a delicate blush crystal amulet carved in the shape of an unfurling lotus flower that glows just faintly within inner light, that's set into a silver chain engraved with intricate runes in a language you don't understand, but you don't feel magic from it. But if that's not magical, like, why is it glowing? Just a little bit. Right? You had a little piece of cloth over it. You just kind of moved it a little bit, and you're like, so far no one else has seen it.
You know, look.
You don't feel magic off of it.
See if I can. I'm not trying to penetrate the. If somebody's got a. If somebody's got non-detection on it, or the same spell I have to make it so it doesn't have a magical aura, I can't see through that unless I force through that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to see if I can create a contest of magic against whoever is masking. I'm going to cast should I go with detect magic or should I go with identify?
Oh, identify.
I'm going to cast identify. Or, well, let me look at identify real quick, because...
You're trying to see what it is, right? Like to tell if it is actually magic?
Yeah. I just want to make sure that it actually will do
right,
that.
because it's different now.
Yeah. That's a question I want to ask Tony.
What?
Would I know whether or not using detect magic or identify would be better to pierce?
Identify would be better. Identify specifically what identify does. Detect magic, it's made. If it is that ability, is made not to be detected that way. Identify would give you a more direct contest of wills.
Okay, I will use identify.
Cool.
On it, which means I have to touch it.
Neo got distracted by some religious things, so I'm sure she's not looking at you.
It's touch, pocket.
I mean, she's trying to find clues, so she's also not looking at you. She rolled her history check. So if you want to, sure, do a sleight of hand. I'm not the DM. Do a sleight of hand.
Anyway, if you want to do a sleight of hand to grab it.
She doesn't see shit.
What is it?
I got what is that? I think it's an 18.
Great success.
18. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Nice.
Neo's not going to see that.
Okay. Yeah. You swipe it, Skylar. I put it in there.
Oh, sweet.
It's in your thing.
In my thing.
It's in your thing.
Neo doesn't eat.
It doesn't come off as magical, and I'm gonna bold something for you that might come off why it's not coming off as weave magic.
Oh. Okay.
Anyway, so back on that. So I got you. I got you. You. Your turn. So, what do you find? So,
I don't know.
as you are starting to look through, you find ledgers and notes, and you find the ledger of who was it? Father. Oh God! Come on, Control F. I have to look at my own notes.
Holy shit.
I really want to know. Wesley really wants to know, but Mio doesn't know, so don't tell me. No, don't tell me.
It's probably something that he's going to give to Mio and just say he found it in the cart.
Still morally unokay with that.
Who's the father's name?
That's true.
I'm trying to look for the priest's name here.
That's right.
Yeah.
She didn't. I mean, she's so busy trying to find clues
See,
and such.
it's less of an issue if I stole it from a merchant than I stole it from a church, he figures.
That's correct. Especially because these are tithes. Yeah, no. Stealing decor is different than stealing a tithe.
She has moral issues with the reality
Oh, yeah.
of needing to live.
Right. Yeah. It's a greater good.
My family burned down churches and took everything they had.
It's funny. The exact antithesis of my other character. Because she stole a dagger from a church that was definitely a tithe at one point. And now I'm playing a religious figure. Yeah, I didn't put those two together till now. My next character, Malachi, is just stupid.
Ooh, shiny.
Yeah, yes, correct. Okay, sorry.
This is the journal of Father Armand Moose, Muise. It's more like comma e.
Muse.
Muse. Yeah, that's it. That sounds better.
Armand Muse.
Armand Muse. Father Armand Muse, about 4 months ago, he was approached by the Bell family farm. I got to look for names of NPCs.
Martha Bell?
Martha Bell, that she, within confession, was harboring a child that had come out of the corn and that had answered her prayers. For years, Martha had always wanted children, never could. Her husband had died in a conflict years ago. He'd gone off to war and never come back. Had died. She was left to run the farm by herself with 2 aides that her family long ago had purchased from Zymes. The aides had recently ran away, and she doesn't know where. They just went into the fields and never came back one day. A child had shown up on her doorstep and didn't have a name, so she named the child Anthony, the name of her former husband. And that the child was strange, but she thought it was the prayer of Saint Celeste that had answered her. But the child was quick to temper, was very confused, so she tried to guide the child, tried to teach it good, that it should be good to other people, that it should seek happiness, these kinds of things, and that the child really stuck to these initial ideas that Martha had given the child. But the child wouldn't shake anything else. It became obsessed with being good for Martha. And she came to the father because the farm animals would run away from Anthony. And she thought that this child that had appeared on her doorstep, perhaps she was afraid might have possibly magical abilities. And she was afraid. Father Armand writes down in prayers to Saint Celeste, was also very worried about this, that he didn't want to give up a child to the church, that every life was sacred, that Saint Celeste was also considered the harbinger of the hidden, that he was writing up like ways to like maybe try to keep this child safe. You see another entry where he comes back. He's very concerned that there is something wrong with this child, that this child perhaps is possessed. He speaks of perhaps the child needs to be baptized or needs to be purified, perhaps an exorcism of some sort. He speaks of concern that this child doesn't look like a child to him. Instead, this child looks like a thing trying to look like a child. He's afraid that this might be some kind of demon. So there are plans that he is going to exorcise the child. And he's going to use part of the Brothers' Council, which he doesn't give explanation of who the Brothers' Council are. And he writes down a date when he is going to take the child for baptism, but he is instead going to try to exorcise that child.
Is the date the same as tomorrow? Is today? Is that today?
No. This is dated long ago. This is months ago.
Oh, 4 months ago. Yeah.
There is not another entry.
Mm-hmm.
And there are other entries farther back. Normal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly just markings of tithings, his own personal thoughts, beliefs in the saints, concerns that he has not heard, falterings of faith, that he believes in the saints and Saint Celeste, but she's never answered his prayer. He's never been able to go very far outside the town. Not being married kind of sucked. Like little stuff, like odd stuff, like, okay, this is his personal diary. It looks like he writes out his prayers a lot. And you learn a little bit about like the townsfolk. He writes about his concerns. Seems like a generally nice guy, right? Does mention the blessings. Talks about how he would cast the blessings of Saint Celeste into the others. That he had mended a child's leg. Mostly the town seems to use him to like keep the farm animals alive, stuff like that. And occasionally act in disputes.
As
Yeah.
any
Yeah.
small town father.
Very small town
small
stuff.
town religion.
But
yeah.
the most significant stuff are those few entries. Basically, her confession to him and what he's written down. Maybe not everything he knew, but what he wrote down. And that he had planned in another one that he had gone to see the child. He saw that the child was wrong, thought it was possessed. He was going to exorcise the child.
Specifically taking it to demolish, because you're familiar with the Fae side of things and the Fall Court side of things. It's in Old Florian, I assume?
Yeah.
Okay, so she'll read you the parts that pertain to this. She won't go into any of the other stuff, but she'll specifically point out how Martha, essentially this child walked out of the corn. The first two to go missing in this record were two farmhands, according to Martha. They walked into the corn and everything out. I think this is Antony, but Martha didn't birth it, but it came from what we assume is Fae. I mean, does this still sound like a Riftshire? Like, based off that information, because we were originally assuming that Martha birthed the child, and that we assumed there was a mortal being in it. Based off this, and Tony, maybe a religion check in tandem with him. Do I think there's an actual child involved here, or is this thing truly Fae?
I've given you guys the information.
Right, I'm asking, like, is there a check that I can do would she infer that? And
at this point, it's what you infer.
Right.
I've given you guys all the information that you guys have.
Right. Okay.
I think that to me it sounds like she just found the child and has no biological connection to the child.
So, I mean, part of our... Go ahead.
She also wanted children.
Desperately, yeah.
And maybe if the Fae is a thought or feeling, that wanting the child is maybe what caused
What drew it in?
Yeah.
What if it looks like a child? And Tony, correct me if I'm wrong on this. Every time Mio has seen it, she's seen kind of its truer form.
Mm-hmm.
So she knows it's not currently in the appearance of an actual child.
It's like a child's. It's a really lifelike, child-shaped,
Scarecrow.
like scarecrow,
Right.
like a really intricate wax figure that has some harrowing flaws.
Yeah.
Like that cartoon where the people have like
yeah.
like buttons for eyes.
Coraline.
Yeah, like looks like a person, but then you're like, no.
Yep.
Yeah. As soon as you see the face.
I mean, truly, we don't know. We're still within 10 feet of you, Skylar, right? Like,
Yeah.
we're all still, okay. And in here, I mean, we don't know what the town was like tonight.
Right.
I feel like we need to find a way to talk to Martha. I don't know if that's possible without Anthony around. Unless one of us were to go off with Anthony, away from any scarecrows even. Like, maybe I can convince him to go play and you guys talk to her, see what she was planning.
Thing is, we need to take him out into the cornfield so that we can separate him from the entity inside of him.
I don't know that there is a separation.
But
it might just be the entity.
you think the whole town is the entity?
No, well, possibly, but
Do you think he's a fetch instead of whatever this other thing?
What was in the corn was the entity. It had the same feel.
Yeah.
I think Anthony is an entity by himself. That
He's the thrall.
maybe. I'm not really sure. But I'm thinking that possibly Martha, is it? That so desperately wanted a child that the magic Fisher would maybe
Rick?
Yeah.
Rip,
Yeah.
kind of gave her her wish, her child.
Mm-hmm. Something answered the call.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And either that is maybe the Anthony is is the what's turning people into scarecrows and doing all this. Could also be Martha. Being like wanting the child to be happy and giving the child life, that she is maybe in part or wholly kind of causing stuff to happen.
So to make it not happen anymore, are you saying we need to do something about Martha?
Possibly. I don't know.
Could it be tied, bonded? I mean,
Yeah.
it still has its own, from what I've seen, its own thought processes, and everything Martha tried to teach about being a good, kind child didn't really stick. It just being happy stuck.
Yeah.
Seems to have stuck.
But it's hard to the entity might be interpreting what Martha is saying, or Martha may be wanting the child to be happy, and the Fae is kind of twisting that
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. No, and that I believe.
Yeah.
From our interactions with the Fae, their version of happy is not our version of happy.
Um, um, we might, because if I haven't said it before, I think possibly this room is safe.
Okay.
I think it's somewhat protected. If we could maybe bring Martha down here.
Right, but how do we get her away from Anthony to do so? What?
Yeah.
What? This church was boarded up. I'm trying to think. What would her motivation be to come talk to us here?
Yeah.
That wouldn't cause alarm bells to go off for Anthony. Looking around, does Mio see the crystals?
Now that he's pointed out,
Yeah.
yeah. You
Okay,
you,
so
you
it
both
is-
see the crystals, and Skylar, you don't feel magic from them.
Do they give the same kind? Do they look similar to
The amulet?
the amulet?
Yeah.
Those are. That's psionic magic?
So someone's listening.
There's another pattern of magic beyond divine and arcane? Because it's not showing up to my senses, and both divine and arcane magic show up to my senses. But psionic doesn't? Really? I can kind of force a detection of it, but I would actually have to cast a spell.
We didn't have. Do we have psionic magic back home?
It's very rare. Make me an arc.
Right. Mio's trying to. I'm trying to think. Mio for the source of magic for Arcana, and she's not as familiar with.
Yeah, no, it would be like it's a super obscure rare
Yeah.
thing.
Oh, there's the low roll. That's going to be a whole 8.
Finish him.
Nope, wrong one. There you go. There.
Oh, rude.
Yeah. No, you're like psionic. What the fuck is that?
Wait. Okay. Remind me how luck. So I have 4 luck. Would that give me another luck, or is it 1?
Yes, that would give you a luck.
Which puts me at 5.
Which you have 5.
I can use 2 luck to re-roll.
If you don't want to gain a luck, you could spend 2 instead to re-roll, right?
Okay.
Because then if you potentially succeed, you wouldn't have gained a luck.
But racial feature grounded once per day. When you fail a save, you can re-roll a die regardless.
Oh,
of whether
and
you,
still gain the
and
luck.
still gain
Yes,
the luck.
yes, you can. You're the one type that actually can
Right.
go, I want the luck and I want to retry.
I was like, that doesn't sound very.
And you don't have to spend the luck to do it.
Oh, and I don't have to spend the luck, so I can just do it.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
It's the lucky feat that allows you to be able to spend 2 instead of 3.
Ah, okay. Well, in that case, that is not much better. 15.
15, also not a success. Base DC for psionics is 20.
Yeah, that doesn't.
The problem is I've only read like maybe one book when I was reading in the library that even mentioned it.
Okay. Take a quick break.
Oh yeah. Go ahead. You guys want to take a quick break?
Yeah, it's 9:30. I think.
Potty
it's
break?
perfect.
Yeah. Let's take a potty break. After these messages, we'll be right back. Let me turn off the. I have to manually turn this one off. Okay, we are back. Is my light still green? It's still green. Good.
So, out of character moment, just to kind of confirm, our current goal, our next step, I should say,
Mm-hmm.
is to attempt to get Martha separated from Anthony in order to have a conversation with her. And you believe, or Damalis believes, that that should happen under the church.
Possibly.
Possibly.
Yeah. I'm not sure if Martha is the root of the problem or the Anthony.
Well, even if Martha made the call, Anthony answered. And to Mio, that is its own separate entity in being. Separate from Martha. Yes, it's probably bonded, but Martha was scared. And I don't know if Vetter would pipe in at all here. Because you saw Martha when Mio was talking with Anthony.
Yeah,
She was scared.
she was scared.
Okay.
I don't think she has any. I don't think she's doing any of this.
Okay.
I think she is a. Have you ever watched the play of? Oh God, it's the story. There's a story that I think somebody may have played of it at one point of a. It's an odd story of the Fae that was told to us as kids.
Okay.
That they how they steal children and replace them with
Changelings.
straw.
Oh, good. I thought you were going to say Odysseus. I was like, oh.
No. These straw
It's a different
kids,
mother and son
they
story right
think
there.
they're kid. Everyone sees them as children, but they're just hay. But they're also trouble. They cause problems. But I mean, it's a story, and I don't know enough about the Fae to even give you a. This is, like I said, it's a story. But a lot of this is playing out like that story. A child was given to this lady by the Fae.
History check. Do I know the story he's talking about?
Yeah. Go ahead and roll a history.
Like, I read children's stories and books. 19.
Skylar, are you describing Pinocchio?
No, I'm actually describing what do you call a fetch?
Oh, right.
Fetch children. So
your character with that, you are, especially since you wear Valadoon, there is a large, like, halflings like being entertained.
Yeah.
There's a big play, like you've probably seen this play.
Okay. Oh, yeah, no, I know this one. Okay. So it's either a fetch or a Rockshire.
Mhm.
Either way, getting it out is putting it back through the portal. Because killing it is not an option. Is
we
that
throw it into the portal, or we, if it's the one, it's the other thing. I would say we try to separate it and like at the portal.
right? So if we get it to the portal is acting like some sort of suction for it. The shadow wants to go back. I don't.
But
know
I have no idea how to separate them.
I can try and banish it.
That's I think that's kind of what I'm trying to say is that her maybe her desire to have a child is kind of keeping Anthony in this realm and preventing it from going back to.
With how afraid she was,